right. Welcome back to the midday huddle. Okay, it's so much going on. Y'all have so much to say. In the comments, I'm like, okay, I got time. I got time today. So feel free to say what you want to say in the comments. Of course, we're gonna address it when we get to the comments. But what are we talking about today? Shedeur Sanders watched the Cleveland Browns. We know it's a soap opera, right? So everybody's hitting me up saying that the Browns tickets are going down to like $9. And I'm like, let me look into this, right? Why? Because I know the Browns season tickets are sold out. So what seems to be happening is maybe they heard me say, the Browns need to do like the Green Bay Packers fans and sell them damn tickets to other people or the other team. So it seems that the secondary market is where the tickets are starting to drop. If you go and you search for tickets, it's really like the only thing that's available is general admission. What is a secondary market? StubHub, things like that, right? So when people already have tickets and they want to sell them, they can't get more than $9 for them because the tickets are deemed as trash. So who's the loser here? The people who bought the tickets originally. So now they can't offload them to other people. But the Browns are still doing what the Browns do, right? They still winning. There's an actual conversation that was happening. Uh, the guy from Gilbert Arenas show, that's no longer his show, Ali Talib, he said Browns fans should boycott. And a lot of people are with that, right? Even the lady that's sitting up there was saying, yeah, the fan base is upset, but the Gruden guy, who should even be sitting up there, said, well, I don't think the fans have a problem with what's happening. And then, of course, everybody else is like, no, the fan base is upset. So now we have the conversation about the secondary market. People can't offload their tickets. The attendance will likely still be what it's been because they already bought these tickets. They rushed out and sold out the season, even though they went 3-14 last year. So let me set this picture up for you, okay? They're talking about Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. Okay, why is that? That's what you should be asking yourself. Because they went 3-14 last year. They on their way back to 3-14 this year. They're proclaiming that Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. And what they're gonna do next year with Kevin Stefanski as the head coach, knowing that he wants the quarterback to be a game manager. And today they're gonna get Ty Sampson from Alabama. Now, I don't know much about Alabama football, but I heard under Nick Saban, they didn't care to throw the rock. They were more about handing it off to the running back, not necessarily a game manager. Maybe Ty Sampson is a dual threat. Maybe he'll fit, maybe he won't. But the point is, why are the Browns so defiant on 2 points? Not playing Shedeur and protecting Kevin Stefanski, because Kevin Stefanski is keeping Shedeur off the field. So, the conversation is fans are upset, but they already bought the tickets. They can't offload them. Maybe $9 is the going rate in the secondary market. And they're going to have Kevin Stefanski next year. And they're trying to get their white quarterback next year. So here's the thing. It won't be our problem because Shedeur won't be in contention for their starter. Now, whether or not Shedeur will be traded or if he'll still be in Cleveland, we haven't gotten to that conversation. But everybody expects Shedeur to be draft capital because that's what Andrew Berry said. The alternative selection for the pick. Shedeur will increase his draft stock. I said when. They said 4 games. They said that's speculative. So we shall see. If he doesn't prove what he can do, he might be there next year. He won't be their go-to next year. But it seems like they already know one thing for sure. They still rolling with Kevin Stefanski. Now, who has the last say in all of this? It's not the Browns. It's the fans. And if you're trying to offload your tickets now, I have a question for you. Why did the Browns fans rush to sell out the season if they went 3-14 last year? Why did they rush to sell out the season? Not only should they boycott, they should be specific in what their demand is. And it doesn't have to be play Shedeur. It really should be fire Kevin Stefanski. That's really and truly what the Browns fans should be demanding, because you went 3-14 last year. You're on your way back, and they're adamant about keeping Kevin Stefanski. Like I said, take Shedeur out the equation. Take Shedeur out this equation. Don't make it about Shedeur. How was it with Nick Chubb when he was there? Because I've been doing some research. What was it like when Nick Chubb was there? What was it like when Deshaun was the quarterback? Because I already did my research, and Deshaun did not fit in Kevin Stefanski's system. Nick Chubb was underutilized by Kevin Stefanski. He reduced his impact to the team. Now, I know Nick Chubb was sad when he left. He might be happy with the Texans. But here's the point. Kevin Stefanski has been problematic with black star players. Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson, and now Shedeur Sanders. So why did the Browns run out and sell out last year so they could have the season sold out this year? Trying to offload tickets can't. What you gonna do for next year? Are they currently lining up to buy season tickets next year with the team defiant on Kevin Stefanski's job being safe? Now they could be lying, but I don't think they are, because I think Kevin Stefanski is doing what the higher ups, the Haslams and the other 31 owners want him to do. Keep Shedeur off the field, because why? They took him off the board. But that's not what we're talking about. What people are saying is Stefanski is going to be embarrassed if Shedeur takes the field and balls out. Was he embarrassed after the Panthers game when Shedeur balled out? Was he embarrassed then? He didn't give a damn. And Haslam was okay with that. And so was the NFL and the NFL Players Association. I heard somebody make the ridiculous argument that Dylan Gabriel must have done something in the pre-draft process to make Kevin Stefanski trust him implicitly, other than, even though he's not good. So we are asserting favoritism. That's what it is. We're asserting favoritism. Understand this. Favoritism in the workplace can cross the lines of illegal discrimination, because that's where we are. But nobody wants to talk about that. So while nobody's talking about the reality of what's really going on, that Kevin Stefanski is dehumanizing Shedeur by refusing to say his name and ignoring him and his contributions and trying to prove the point that he's not fit or he's not worthy. And shout out to whoever sent me the DMs with the screenshots with some inside info. We're going to get to that tonight at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I need to redact some things. So now, since you refuse to fire Stefanski, and people are trying to bottom out and offload the tickets in the secondary market, and they can't, one should assume that they're not lining up to buy season tickets next year. So again, who has the last say? As the Browns are defiant on rolling with Kevin Stefanski and losing. Understand this. The players have already been conditioned to submit to a losing culture for this season. So they're not going to do nothing. The Browns have told you in your face, Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. Who has the last say so? Who has the ability to up the pressure? The fans. But there are some fans worried about if they continue, if they don't support, if they boycott, then guess what? The team gonna get up and move. Aren't they moving anyway? So everything you worried about is not happening. So for us on the outside looking in from Atlanta and other cities that's not in Cleveland, there are fans truly worried about if they boycott the Browns, it would be terrible if they left. Excuse me? The best thing that could happen is that the Browns are forced to sell and get new ownership. Current ownership is forced to sell and get new ownership. That's the best thing that can happen. And another thing is if they leave the damn state of Ohio, because I'm assuming when you say move, they already moving out of what? Into whatever that area is, from Berea to somewhere else. You must mean out of Ohio. And that is also the best thing that can happen to you, because you could get another team. So where we are in this saga, take Shedeur off the table. because he's not safe under Kevin Stefanski. I don't have no problem with saying it out loud. If you can admit as panelists and media, whether it's national panelists or Browns media, that Kevin Stefanski can't say Shedeur's name, instead of pondering if it's favoritism or if it's racism, understand what that means for Shedeur if he's being emotionally abused, because that's what it is. Ignored, dehumanized, discriminated against. It doesn't matter whether it's favoritism, because favoritism in the workplace to the detriment of the workplace and the bottom line, the goal to win, and isolating people in public, dehumanizing people, holding them back, getting them injured so they're not available to play. It's all illegal. And while people are dancing around fire Stefanski, because that's what they should be saying, former players are speaking out about things that could actually upend more than just the Cleveland Browns. Take a listen. And we're going to dive further into this tonight.
Makes you hate the NFL, the players, especially black players.
In a January 2022 interview with the New York Times, you discussed possibly suffering from CTE. Where are you at with that? Is that something that's...
Oh, yeah, man, of course. I mean, I'm not the same guy I was when even after I retired, you don't know. I mean, like right now, I got onset of Parkinson's. I got to take a medication for Parkinson's. I'm gonna tell you this, the sad thing about this whole deal is that with the NFL, and look, I just love playing football. And the NFL makes you hate the NFL, the way they treat the players, especially black players. So you probably you ever heard of race norming? They race norm the black players, race norm us.
Break that down though, because I remember reading about that.
So what they'll say is, okay, you take the black player and the white player. The white player was already smart. The black player was not smart already. If he comes down, the white player should get paid, but the black player shouldn't get, because he was already dumb, basically. He was already kind of dumb. So,
and this wasn't even that long ago, though.
Oh, this was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And they said that, we won't do it again. I mean, it's like when we get hurt, like right now, it's in the case with them for Parkinson's and CTE. We get so many that get denied. I'll give you a great example. My friend Christian Okoye. Nigerian nightmare. I was teasing about it the other day because he got that accent. He's going for his CTE case, and the race norming thing came in, saying that, well, he's Nigerian, so maybe he couldn't speak good English. He don't understand.
Crazy.
And I was teasing him. I said, maybe they right. Okay, Deacon Jones passed away about 10 years ago. I went to see Deacon way before he was in the hospital, before he was sick. And me and him talked. He said, what's your pension? I said, man, I don't know. I said, it could probably be, $1,500 a month. He said, you know what I get, Eric? I played 15 years. I get $250 a month. That's what I get, $250 He said, I'll take it. So they...
Did he say he played the NFL for 15 years and gets $250 a month?
Yeah, we have no health care. Like players like me, I pay for my own health care. Now the players have health care 5 years. That's it.
Understand this, okay? Understand this. If you sit up here and the Browns continue on this path, you see how people are beginning to speak out. I'm getting DMs about what's being said on the inside. We're going to get to it tonight because I got to go through it first. And you see how on this side, on the NFL side, they want to sit up and allow Stefanski to discriminate against Shedeur after they discriminated against Shedeur in the draft. Now you see what's happening. People are speaking out about how black players have been treated. How many times have you heard me talk about race norming? And now the conversation gets elevated to bigger platforms. That's why I can stay at the same number I'm always at. Because what's going to happen is the conversation is going to get elevated to a larger platform. Now they're talking about race norming. And when you listen to him say he got to pay his own health insurance, did you also hear him say he exhibiting signs of Parkinson's? So that has to be expensive. So when these guys want to sign up for the NFL to get all this money, you're going to need it for your medical expenses because your health care is only 5 years. And if you have signs of CTE, Parkinson's is on the list of one of the symptoms that people want to sweep under the rug. But you gone from the league by the time you realize that. But what about the players that's in the league, like Antonio Brown, and exhibiting it? They just don't even talk about him because why bring that up? People talked about Jackson Dart being heavily concussed already. Now they claim to like him, right? And what did I say about Shedeur is not safe as long as Kevin Stefanski is the head coach? So if that's what you allow to happen to Jackson Dart, who they coveted and put in front of Shedeur and try to make their golden boy, and they let him get heavily concussed like that, what you think gonna happen to Shedeur? Look at what's happening to Cam Ward. How many times has he been sacked? Have he made it to 40 yet? And he still got a back half of a season to play? This is workplace negligence at this point. So now, as this conversation begins to move past, should Shedeur play? The conversation is fire Stefanski on the Browns level, but now on the national level, because of what players are beginning to speak out and talk about how Black players are being discriminated against and considered to be dumber than their white counterparts. And I don't even like the word dumb. Lower in intelligence than their white counterparts. So why would Shedeur be safe if he falls into the category of people they consider dumb and not worthy of the quarterback position? I don't even want you here on the Browns team, let alone the most important position on the team. So now we're going to start having some national conversations about when you're looking for a league or sport to put your child in, it's either flag football or no football. And although it doesn't typically pop up in my feed, I had to go look for it. I watched a lot of flag football content today to see who was playing, what leagues out there. And the NFL already 10 toes in, whether it's girls flag football or whether it's adult male flag football. They already 10 toes in. And what makes it sad is the same type of discriminatory practices you see in the NFL overall for men's football. I already see it being set up and already taking root in flag football. This is why I encourage Shiloh and Shedeur and Coach Prime to start their own league, and it does not have to be tackle. Matter of fact, wasn't Coach Prime going to do a 7-on-7 clinic? Well, maybe now, and he didn't get to do it because he was out. Everything happens for a reason. He probably going to be there next year. Why not hold a 7-on-7 flag camp and start that? Because that is also a scholarship program at colleges now, flag football for girls. The only reason they probably wouldn't want to play flag football for boys is because the NFL think it would disrupt their recruiting pipeline. And I told y'all, in about 7 years, after listening to what you heard about Eric Dickerson, I said this before, people are going to look at Black players in the NFL and, what, you still in the NFL? Because this is what he's talking about. Wait till you find out what's documented behind the scenes that you don't hear about. If he can sit here and tell you that they use race norming against a Nigerian, what does that say for NFL Africa? What does that say for all of the Nigerian players or all of the African players that they bring over from Africa through London to get into the NFL? It explains why there's no Black or Nigerian kickers except for maybe one. Y'all know the first sport in Africa is soccer, so they should have a lot of African kickers. Am I right? So what he is saying is true. And it's where he starts off by saying how the Black players are treated. And that goes for Shedeur as well. So if I'm race norming all Black NFL players, and I think they are lesser in intelligence or lack intelligence and as the same intelligence as their white counterparts, it should explain to you why Kevin Stefanski is trying to keep Shedeur off the field. Because in that franchise, they want a white quarterback. And what did we hear at Colorado from Pat Schumer? He likes Staub because he's cerebral. He thinks like a quarterback. Did he say that about Juju? No. So guess what? Juju gonna have to protect himself while he's on that field as long as Pat Schumer is the OC. It's not a coincidence he was sacked as many times as he was. Excessive sacks are weaponized against these Black quarterbacks. And the majority of the quarterbacks that have been sacked excessively, especially in the top 5, are Black, even though they're not the majority. So the Browns can have it one way or the league can lose in the other. And that's the point. If you don't want to do right by Black players, including Shedeur, then ain't nobody going to be here. Because parents are going to start having conversations. Matter of fact, they already are. Remember the guy that Shiloh interviewed in Vegas? And he said what? Oh, yeah, my parents didn't want me to get injured like that, so they didn't put me in football. I already knew that people were putting their kids in soccer. And now people are investing more in soccer than they are football. I don't know who they marketing to when it comes to flag football, but I see a lot of girls flag football, but there's men's flag football. The Jaguars actually has a team. So at this point, if you are coming out of college, should you really still be considering and pursuing the NFL knowing that they believe you are dumber than your white counterparts? Should you really consider going into the NFL draft in 2026 knowing that you only going to have 5 years worth of health insurance? You're likely going to end up with CTE if you're Black. And you're going to be exhibiting signs of Parkinson's, this, that, and the other. Your divorce rate is high. Y'all typically go broke anyway. And then how you going to live in your older years? You only going to probably play 3 to 5 years max. And then you only going to have 5 years of health care. It seems like the pension is random. How one person get $250 a month after 15 years and another one gets $1,500. So is there preferential treatment into the payouts for pensions too? I mean, how much do you want to subject yourself to this? If you sit down and you do the math on how much you're going to make guaranteed, we ain't talking about what they're going to offer you. We talking about what you're going to get. And after you pay taxes and after you pay your agent, and apparently they're going to try to force you to have an agent, even though the contract is non-negotiable, because Shedeur Sanders wanted to go as high as possible and should have had an agent. But Jerry Jones did not want to talk to Michael Parsons' agent. So they're just going to force you to do whatever it is that they want you to do that benefits them. There should already be college flag football for men. Yeah, they might have started it for women to increase the market share. But knowing what you know about CTE and how devastating it is, you should be pushing for flag football in college. It's just like you don't need your car to run off of gas. It's just that the oil and gas industry prefers that you buy their product, because there's a whole young Black man out here that has invented something called plastoline that all sorts of cars can run off of. You probably have a car run off of, I think, cooking oil. But again, it's about what these major industries lobby to force you into. So you're being forced into tackle football that they know causes CTE for Black players, majority. And I just said yesterday, they wanted to say Black people are the majority of people that get CTE because of genetic makeup and cardiovascular disease. Now they saying the Nigerian is his language. You know what they're talking about? His slurred speech. And somebody actually said to me in the comments, they felt like maybe Shedeur should be tested because they thought his speech is a little different than when it was. I went back and listened to his interviews. I didn't pick up on anything that was like major, but I ain't no doctor. I'm not any doctor, but he has been sacked 52 times in 1 year and over 30 times in the second year, damn near 40. So 50 plus 40, 90 times. Shedeur not being on that field under Kevin Stefanski is protection. Because Stefanski, who can't even say Shedeur's name, and that's not favoritism, that's dehumanizing Shedeur. He's not safe. Stefanski can't be trusted to call a fair game with Shedeur. Look at how unfair and unjust he is keeping him off the field. That rejection is protection. So if you're just not joining us, we're talking about who has the last say. And what you should be able to start to realize is the fans have it. The Browns can do the right thing, but choose not to. They would rather condition the locker room to submit to a losing culture than win. with a black franchise long-term quarterback. You should now be asking yourself if all of these injuries that Deshaun has had were intentional to keep him out the way. You should be asking why it is that Stefanski underutilized Nick Chubb and reduced his impact. You should be asking, not is Stefanski favoring Dylan, but because Deshaun didn't fit his system and he's a different skill set than Shedeur, or Nick Chubb was underutilized. You should be asking yourself, are black players safe under Kevin Stefanski, who is exhibiting racist behavior? No black person is safe around someone exhibiting racist behavior. That's where the conversation need to go. And it's up to the Browns. If they want to sit up and continue on this ridiculous path of excluding black quarterbacks from being champions on their team long term. Because guess what? You just going to find yourself, you might as well just get ready. If you continue on with Kevin Stefanski toward the end of this season and keep him next season, because I don't know what you're going to do if that don't work out. That's 3 years in a row and they not tanking. I'm just trying to avoid winning with a black quarterback, but I get this white quarterback under Kevin Stefanski and that don't work out either. The Browns should get themselves ready to be investigated. It's a couple things they could be investigated for, but we could just start with the most obvious, right? And then there's the NFL, who wants to sit by and allow this to happen. While they sit by and allow Stefanski to discriminate against Shedeur, the Browns go along with it and they protect Stefanski. And they want to bring back people like Gruden, and they want to bring back and entertain people like Richie Incognito, all who have been found guilty of racial discrimination against the majority population in the NFL, who the NFL seems to want to dismiss CTE for because they believe that they were dumber than their white players. And they don't want no black leadership either because they're not smart either. That's why they go get a Harvard grad and demean him by calling him Obama because they don't like Obama. Or they go get Andrew Berry, another black Harvard grad, and demean him by making him a go fetch. So they can sit there all quietly if they want to. But these kind of conversations are going to get louder. So you could decide if you want to sit up here.
The NFL makes you hate the NFL, the way they treat the players, especially black players.
In a January 2022 interview with the New York Times, you discussed possibly suffering from CTE. Where are you at with that? Is that something that's...
Oh, yeah. And of course, I mean, I'm not the same guy I was. Even after I retired, you don't know. I mean, like right now, I got onset of Parkinson's. I got to take a medication for Parkinson's. I'm going to tell you this, the sad thing about this whole deal is that with the NFL, and look, I used to love playing football. And the NFL makes you hate the NFL, the way they treat the players, especially black players. So you probably you ever heard of race norming? They race norm the black player, race norm us.
Break that down though, because I remember reading about that.
So what they'll say is, okay, you take the black player and the white player. The white player was already smart. The black player was not smart already. If he comes down, the white player should get paid, but the black player shouldn't get, because he was already dumb, basically.
So what he's saying is that the NFL's practices and policies were not to pay black players for CTE, whether it was testing, awards, this, that, and the other, treatment, etc., because you're dumb anyway. So you can't be hurt if you already dumb. But the white players got paid for treatment, etc. They got the CTE awards. This is what I was talking about when I said the NFL settled $1 billion lawsuit already. There's already precedent. And the lawsuit was settled because it was so many people that were coming forward. It's so many people that had the same claims that the NFL violated black NFL players' civil rights. And then now it's Brian Flores. And this is running through the courts. They settled that one. Now this one is going through the courts, and that's what we talked about yesterday. So the NFL can sit back and be silent if it wants to. The Browns can sit back and be silent and laugh and kiki and ha-ha with the NFL about discriminating against Shedeur, thinking nobody's going to do anything. I told you, you have to be some kind of fool to already be covering up because you're entering the discovery phase, or you're now in the discovery phase of a racial discrimination lawsuit brought forth by a current employee, Brian Flores, and some other coaches, which is class action. And they actually said the NFL also discriminates against Black quarterbacks, that racism is rife in the NFL. And I said it. Everything the Cleveland Browns are doing is proving that that is true, that those allegations are true. And out the door goes the Podesta. And the next thing you know, oh no, Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. It shouldn't be. And that's going to make it tougher on the Browns. And what they're going to end up with, they're going to end up being investigated for organizational malpractice. And then they're going to end up also getting sued as a ball club individually for racial discrimination and violating Black players' civil rights. Because understand this, running through there is toxicity. And moving the Podesta out the way is saying he was the culture guy and allowing Kevin Stefanski to discriminate against Shedeur. And then they're intimidating the players into submission to deal with the losing culture when they know and prefer and want to win with Shedeur. That's a problem too. So the Browns are setting themselves up for litigation, racial discrimination, which will be the 4th or 5th racial discrimination case against an NFL ball club in less than 5 years. I mean, if that's what you want to do. And while that train is running down the track, now you got the CTE conversation picking up steam. So it could start from the bottom, where parents are not putting their kids in tackle football anymore. I said, I'm looking for one person. I expect one person coming into this draft to change their mind after hearing. Because if you sit and doing the math, it's just like buying a house. It's just like buying a house. You'll buy a house, you'll have a 30-year mortgage. By the time you add up how much you paid for the house, whether you paid cash or interest, add on the taxes and maintenance, you will never recoup. Not over a 30-year period. You will never recoup. So how, as an NFL player that doesn't have guaranteed contracts, that actually have injury clauses and voids, that void if you have something that happened on the field, they could take it. Or maybe in Myles Garrett's case, he got to submit because I'm coming for your guarantees because we have a loyalty clause. How is it? How can you even respect yourself when you know for a fact you're watching Shedeur be discriminated against and you choose to be silent because I don't want to lose my job? But you see this young man being publicly lynched by Kevin Stefanski. It's not favoritism. And even if it was, favoritism crosses over into illegal discrimination. So who has the last say? Seemingly, people going to say the Browns. Some people going to say the fans. The public. The court of public opinion. Parents with kids coming up, moving off to soccer. Just like I see all of these athletes investing in soccer clubs. Somebody pointed out that LeBron has an investment in a soccer club and a baseball team. I believe people want to invest in the NFL to try to change it for the better, but they won't let Black people get anywhere near the top. And maybe that hasn't happened yet because the CTE conversation should be enough to make everybody put down the ball and go home. Whether it's Jackson Dart or Cam Ward or Antonio Brown. That's the bigger, more devastating consequence of this game. So you decide. So I'm going to check into the comments and I'm going to see what it is that y'all are saying, because I know y'all probably have some other things too, a POV that y'all want to share. All right. So you're not going to hear me say play Shedeur out loud too many times, because I feel like now, after listening, even though we talked about race norming, but after listening to Eric Dickerson, I really think that the rejection for Shedeur is protection. He was already sacked 90 times. That's no different than shaken baby syndrome, where the brain is jostled around. That could be for his protection. So you're going to hear me say, I pray God's will be done. because I don't know what that is. And it could be for God to get ready to swing the door wide open and he leave. And if he understands the whole CTE and how devastating it is and how he already could be near peril, and it's God's grace for him to stay the hell away from Stefanski so he don't end up getting hurt. And some long-term, you're risking it every time you step on that field and you try to figure out, is it going to happen today? Is it going to happen? What Eric Dickinson had to say should be enough. And I know that there are other stories out there. I know I have heard stories of wives trying to manage these players, not even realizing that the symptoms they have are CTE. And we're not talking about Parkinson's, because there's medicines for signs of Parkinson's. But there's not medicines of sign for these erratic behavior that's easy to deal with. Because like they said, Antonio Brown, they said he don't even want to get help. It's destructive to your whole life. And it's not worth it. You can love to play football, but it's going to have to be flag football, or you're going to have to make tackles safer. Hey, Amber, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said they hit a new low, now $6 on the secondary market. So I have something that explains. I'm going to start from right here, and then we'll go back to it. It said, yes, the Cleveland Browns ticket prices are reportedly dropping on the secondary market due to the team's poor record. Understand, they don't even care about this because this was already happening, and they came out on the record and said Stefanski's job is safe. Stefanski's job is safe because he's doing what they have asked him to do, hold back Shedeur. It said, while the average season ticket prices for 2025 season is among the lowest already in the NFL at $158, the poor performance has caused prices to decline further, especially in the secondary market, as sellers try to offload tickets. So if you have tickets and you don't want to participate anymore, by going to the games, you're trying to sell them, but you're not going to get no money for it. You're going to end up taking an L. Then when it comes to season tickets, they already have the lowest prices at $158. And I would expect, due to the poor performance, there are not people just lining up to buy those tickets at $158. Is in fact, what I'm hearing is that it is possible that the season ticket prices for next year are also being lowered. And that's what it should be. This is pressure. And we talked about pressure coming from all sides last night. We talked about fans being upset. Well, now it's pressure. The ticket prices are dropping for this season in the secondary market, which means the fans that likely would line up to buy season tickets next year already like, I can't get rid of these tickets from 24 or 25, so I don't want no tickets for 26. Let's see if that pressure for season tickets next year changes their mind. They don't care about this year because you already bought them tickets. That's on the fans. It's about next year's season tickets. Let's see if that pressure forces them to move off from Stefanski. And they can keep him if they want to, but it's going to cost them. One thing about it, racism is expensive. And it's going to go all the way up to Haslam. And at some point, he could find himself, just like the NBA, in a congressional hearing, just like the former owner of the Washington Commanders, forced to sell his team. Organizational malpractice. So it's okay if you want to be racist, but understand it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. So here they explain the secondary market. It said last minute deals. You may find further price drops if you wait until closer to the game day, as sellers become more desperate to sell their tickets and avoid losing money entirely. Y'all probably going to see a ticket for $1 because they just try to prove a point, I guess. It said the average home ticket for 2025 was estimated to be the lowest already. So we're going to have to wait to find out if season tickets for next year have already dropped. They probably going to try to keep that as close to the best as possible. But do you see what's already starting to happen? And it explains that the secondary market is where the prices are dropped. People that already bought them trying to offload. But do you see the chaos that's beginning to ensue because the Browns are hell-bent on discriminating against Shedeur and forcing the players to submit to a losing culture and choosing to defiantly retain Kevin Stefanski? Next season is where the impact will be felt for the ball club. Next season. Understand that. That's how that works. It's not this season. It's next season. So we still on our fire Stefanski as long as Shedeur over there. But I promise you, the moment Shedeur is no longer around Kevin Stefanski at all, I'm out. I'm out. I'm just gonna tell you right now. And they said we're not Browns fans. You're right. We're Shedeurians. I'm like, we're Shedeurians. Understand that. I don't care who he played for. Honestly, I don't know how I feel. Sometimes I'm torn because I feel like we're kind of getting more and more to the CTE conversation, and it makes me cringe because as much as we want to see him play, I might just have to settle for looking at his old film because I don't want this kid to end up with CTE. He's already been sacked 90 times, and destroying his career was the point when they did it. Just like in the NFL, the same thing. These black quarterbacks are being targeted with excessive sacks because they're not the majority. And they're all elite, and they're trying to prove the point that they're not because race norming, you're dumber than your white counterparts. Just because they had $1 billion settlement doesn't mean they changed their thinking. They paid the settlement so this don't go public. And a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't know that they practice race norming and probably still do. It seems like they do because the way they're letting Kevin Stefanski run loose, it falls under race norming. Saying that, Shedeur, we have standards for this position. This is the most important position on the team. And they're trying to say he doesn't fit the standard. To hell with you. That's what I say. He too good for the NFL. Too elite. Too good of character. That's what I say. It said they end up like Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I guess so. Because he ended up with Parkinson's, right? And that probably was from taking one too many hits to the head. It said Will Smith did an excellent job in the movie Concussion. I've never watched that. It said delusional indeed. NFL Browns players should all walk and boycott. I agree. It said we already said this would happen. I do. I feel bad because I don't know how informed these players are. I really don't. I feel like they need to. I don't know if they're asking these kids to sign a waiver. I don't know if they're talking about it in college, but the awareness is not that CTE exists in the NFL. It starts with these kids in college. And now it's up to the parents that's putting their kids in sports at 5, 6, and 7 to choose. My son played soccer and basketball, right? Actually, he did play football for a minute. Actually scored a pick 6 and all of that, but he just moved on to like track and field. So the kids now, and we didn't really know about CTE, when he was little, but the kids now, and the kids coming out of college, So what you gonna do? And you need to get tested before you leave there to determine what you're gonna do, right? And if you're fine and you don't have any issues or no cognitive decline, because that's what you're looking for in these tests, and you go to the NFL, like how do you decide if you're gonna risk it or not? I saw this up close, my husband. Oh, Miss Davis, I think you told me about this in email. I think that was you, yeah. And there was a lady, she just sued the NCAA and won $18 million. Gathers was their last name. Her husband, she sued them because she said the NCAA had the responsibility to educate the players. That's why I'm asking, how do they educate these players on CTE? His last name was Gathers. He was awarded $10 million for his injuries, and she was awarded $8 million for alienation of affection because he couldn't be a person. He couldn't be her husband anymore. He couldn't be himself. You're not yourself anymore. That's exactly what Eric Dickerson was saying. So again, who has the last say? If the Browns fans don't want to do right, if the Browns don't want to do right, if the NFL don't want to do right, if the NFL Players Association don't want to hold anybody accountable, court of public opinion. And that's what's gonna get it done. Because why? Sponsors. Oh, we can't support this because people don't want to shop with us because of what y'all doing. That's who has the last say so. It said all money ain't good money, right? And it should show you that the money is intended to distract you from the reality of the devastation that you risk every time you step on the field. If you're coming out of college, you better think long and hard. You better sit down and do the math and add it up. I don't know how it's any different than using drugs, to be honest. I don't see any difference. They both have a devastating impact on your life that you never go back to being the same person that you were. You probably can get over drug addiction, but you can't get over CTE. It's progressive. It's like you're voluntarily signing up for progressive terminal illness. And I don't know what they're telling these athletes. It said, my daughters want to, what is that? My daughters want to go forward. Stay tuned. I mean, yeah, you should. I mean, if you know that there's precedents out here, you should look at the case that the Gathers family, the wife had to file the lawsuit because the husband wasn't in any condition to do so. And they won. And that should be the first one. That shouldn't be the last one. Because if it happened to her family, and it takes awareness. It has happened to a lot of people. Alienation of affection is what the claim is called when you're the spouse. Look it up. The last name is Gathers. $18 million lawsuit. It said football idolatry. I don't know if that's what it is. Maybe that's how people see it. But I know they're conditioned. And what I mean by that is from little, they get into league and what they dream about is the NFL. You're going to need a new dream, boo. You're going to need a flag football dream, or you're going to need a lacrosse dream, or a track and field dream. You're going to need something else. You're going to need something else, because the way you see God protecting Shedeur, whether you realize that that's what's happening or not, other people are being protected as well. But here's the thing. You got to make a decision. You can't ignore the facts and think about the money. It ain't even guaranteed. And that's the most shameful part of it all. And when you listen to these older players like Eric Dickerson, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, that's my question. Who has the last say so? So, but, at Jackson Dart. Yep, Jackson Dart. They said us what? How many times already? I'm like, and they like him? Jesus, if that's how you treat people you like, then it should explain to you why it is Cam has been sacked how many times? I bet it's probably at 40 by now. And at what point does somebody say that this is negligence? At what point does his family say, all right, enough. This is negligence. You are letting this happen. At what point do people sit down and realize that this is happening, CTE, to mostly Black players, and mostly Black players are being sacked excessively, quarterbacks? When does anybody say enough is enough? Let's see. I'm checking NFL players sacked the most this season. What week are they in? Week 10. Here we go, right here. I'm going to share this with y'all on my screen. This is crazy. Cam Ward has been sacked 38 times, it says. He must have had a bye week last week, because I think last time I checked, it was 8. Drake May, 35. I'm wondering if that's why they're not considering him for MVP. Justin Herbert, 33. And Geno Smith, 27. Geno Smith was already on this list, I think, he and Russell Wilson were already at the top of the list previously. And Trevor Lawrence is now 26. Jalen Hurts is 25. So yeah, Cam Ward is at 38. They have Jackson Dart at 21. So if Jackson Dart has been concussed that many times, how many times has Cam Ward been concussed if he's at 38? That's insane. That's why I said, people trying to make fun of Justin Fields. Justin Fields has already been sacked over 150 times in his young career. That's a lot. And Cam Ward is on that path next. And I already knew last year when Justin Fields left Pittsburgh and went to the Jets, they was like, he got this is his prove me year. I'm like, how you gonna give Daniel Jones 6 years and him 2 years? As if to say this whole race norming theory is why it is. They keep trying to assert that the black quarterbacks can't be better. It's why it is the league is being dumbed down to mediocrity, because the black players are coming in, that they come in at the first round or whatever as elite. And because it's so many of them, it doesn't support the theory. It disproves the race norming theory. But it seems like it's more important for these clubs to support the race norming theory than to disprove it. That's what's happening where Shedeur is concerned. Cam Ward, why they overlook Jalen Hurts, even though he won the Super Bowl twice, why they want to talk about Pat Mahomes and not Jalen Hurts, even though Pat Mahomes lost the Super Bowl. But when it came to 2025, Pat Mahomes had to dig his way out the bottom because he's also black. And because race norming is what they live by, it's like they're going to the extremes to maintain that Shedeur isn't worthy. It's not because he was entitled. That is the most ridiculous thing to say, to disrupt somebody's career and devalue them. You only do that when you think you're going to get away with it. And they really feel like they're going to get away with it. But I already see coming from this side or this side, the opposite direction of what they thinking is the conversation, the truth about race norming and CTE. That's enough to disrupt the whole damn league. I said Shedeur, it could actually be a part of a large case that could disrupt the NFL. And here we are talking about race norming and CTE. Now, how are you coming out of college knowing that the NFL thinks that black players are dumber than white ones? Are you going to tell yourself, I don't care, I'm going for the money? Then I suggest you listen to Eric Dickerson and talk about how he's getting Parkinson's. I suggest you pay attention to Antonio Brown. Listen to what he said Jones. And if you African, listen to what they said about who was it, the player that's Nigerian? If you black, you're not safe, period. African American, it don't matter. That's what it proves. It doesn't matter. You're not safe because they don't value you because of race norming. You're dumber than your white counterparts. So you're treated like you don't matter. So Cam sacked 38 times. This is why. So who has the last say so? It said boxing and MMA is just as bad. Yep. Especially if black athletes are targeted. Facts. 22 said, we live in a gladiator world. They will run to boxing first or MMA. That's crazy. It said nobody want to play flag football. All right. Well, I mean, do you just want to just go around here and deal with Parkinson's? Do you want to deal with being perpetually depressed? Do you want to deal with being chased by the police on the news because, your behavior has gotten so erratic? You have to ask yourself, if you don't want to play flag football, then start your own league and do something to protect yourself from CTE. And if there is no way to protect yourself, you're going to need a new dream or you're going to suffer the consequences. And what you're going to end up with is a bunch of people that don't value themselves in a league that doesn't value them. That's a bad recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. And I watch flag football. I can see why people don't like it. But why you got to play by their rules? Why you can't start your own? You can actually start something that's probably a hybrid. Play on a 100-yard field. 7-on-7, 11-11. You can play the same game. But sit down and figure out, start your own league. So one, because we know you probably going to respect yourself, right? That's the first thing you got to do. Start your own league for your own dignity. Because you'll treat yourself fairly. Take the racism component out of it. And then deal with the health and safety part of it. Play the game in a way that is fun, but it's also safe. And it's not just doing what? Targeting Black people with CTE. So you can sit up and be stubborn and not want to play flag football, but it's ridiculous to sit up and keep playing their game that's not designed for you and your health. You gotta decide if you're gonna value yourself or not. Now I see why my daughter won't let my grandson play football. Facts. Hey, corner boy, welcome back. I mean, that's right? It's gonna be a lot of that. And I believe that this is exactly why all of these people are running. People with money that's ready to invest. They're not out here trying to do nothing else where American football is concerned. Everybody is running to soccer because we've already been on the wave of parents not wanting their kids to play football. American football that they trying to take overseas. That's why. Good afternoon. Hey, Kiel, how you doing? It said the NFL owners are speaking just like their plantation owners' ancestors. Right. It's not worth it. No, it's not. And then there are going to be some people, they have to actually justify out loud. At this point, knowing what you know, why is it worth it? And if you have to be protected from yourself, it ain't going to exist. That's just how it's going to go. It ain't going to exist or you're going to get excluded from it. But if you have to be protected from yourself, you're not going to be able to do it. Go start your own and make it better for you and everybody else. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. It says, sound like they may try to hurt him on purpose. I mean, it already happened, right? Didn't it already happen with the Rams game? He was sacked 5 times on purpose. These sacks add up and they do damage over and over repeatedly. That's why they said the average sacks per game is supposed to be 2.7, not 5, not 7. That's why I said it is incumbent upon Colorado to protect Juju because you know CTE exists. And if on the Pat Schumer, he got to be sacked 7 times in the last 2 more games, hell, 7 times 3 is 21. That's already excessive. They're already working on him to upend his career early. What are we doing? Start your own. To want to join something that's not meant for you, where they think you are dumber than your white counterparts, is total insanity. Because you can't even say, well, I'm going to just get the money while they working on you mentally the whole time. Wasn't it a player that say he's stepping away for his own mental health? Can you imagine being in the Cleveland Browns locker room and you're one of the players like Jerry Jeudy or Myles Garrett, where you want to win, but you have to be subdued into submission into a losing culture. And if they believe you dumber than your white counterparts, that's why they think you're not going to ever go nowhere and start your own. And you got to be out your rabbit mind to sign up for something where they think you dumber than the white people in 2025 and 2026. It didn't matter if you didn't know before. You know now. So who has the last say? The players. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Yeah, $250. I'm like, excuse me, you played in this league for $250. I mean, for 15 years, and they gave you $250. And then healthcare. If you are exhibiting signs of Parkinson's and your healthcare runs out in 5 years, you're going to have to pay for that. So that money that you went there for, you're going to need that to survive. Or I'm sorry, you're going to need that to pay for medical expenses for the rest of your life. Because there's no cure for Parkinson's. 200 and I'm like, wait a minute. Why does he get $250 and he get 1,500? So that's what we're doing, a disparity in payouts and pensions. So how much do white players get if they think the black players are dumber? The Washington Commanders were already accused of paying veterans more, and they weren't good. Their time had run out. Just keeping them around. Because, maybe you my cousin, brother, or whatever. I'm willing to believe they're white. Who has the last say? The players that are coming out of college right now. Yeah, what Eric Dickerson is saying, I think there's a hashtag for CTE. I didn't go look under it, but I used it because I put this on X. I'm glad they're having this conversation. Understand, this is a basketball channel. If you're just not joining us, I'm going to play it one more time, right? Because some people are just not joining us because we're not typically live during the day. So they might be shocked. But this is important, right? We can't proclaim to care about these guys and not speak the truth. We've already talked about race normal. We've already talked about it. Now it's making its way. Understand this. This should have been on Gil's Arenas podcast. But since they hijacked his podcast and use it for what they want to use it for, this is being said on a basketball podcast. Take a listen.
It wasn't even that long ago, though.
Oh, this was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And they said that, we won't do it again. I mean, it's like when we get hurt, like right now, it's in the case with them for Parkinson's and CTE. We get so many that get denied. I'll give you a great example. My friend Christian Okoye. Nigerian nightmare. I was teasing about it the other day. He got that accent. He's going for his CTE case, and the race norming thing came in, saying that, well, he's Nigerian, so maybe he couldn't speak good English. He don't understand. Crazy. And I was teasing him. I said, maybe they right. Okay, Deacon Jones passed away about 10 years ago. I went to see Deacon way before he was in the hospital, before he was sick. And me and him talked. He said, what's your pension? I said, man, I don't know. I said, it could probably be, $1,500 a month. He said, you know what I get, Eric? I played 15 years. I get $250 a month. That's what I get, $250 funky dollars. He said, I take it so they can have it. We have no health care. Like players like me, I pay for my own health care. Now, the players have health care 5 years. That's it.
So understand this. The NFL knows that CTE is devastating. They know that CTE has no cure. They know that chances are most players are not going to realize they have CTE until they leave the NFL, but they only give them 5 years of health care so they can use the rest of the money to pay for CTE. You see, they passed in the cost, the consequences of you playing football and making them billions off to you. So in your later years, you're broke. I'm willing to bet you one of the reasons players go broke besides divorce is medical expenses. Technically, you can't afford to spend a dime that you make for the 3 years or the 5 years or 10 years. Because here's the thing. If you come into the league, and I'm going to play this one more time because he said something that I picked up on. I'll come back to it. If you come into the league at Travis is 21 and he already hurt, tore his ligament that connects the thigh bone to the leg bone. That's he ain't even played the whole season yet. And that happened as a non-contact injury in practice. He might want to keep his money because I don't know how long he gonna make it. Right? So if you come into the league at 21 or 22, because I think you come as a junior, 21. Most people don't play 10 years. Let's say you get to 31. You got to live to 41, 51, 61, 71, and possibly 81 with that money that you made. And CTE. And possibly divorce. And child support and alimony. Medical expenses. I know that that's up there. That's going to be one of the reasons that they go broke. They showed a player, I don't know if he played basketball or football. I think maybe football. He's back living in the projects. I don't even know where I was watching that at. I told y'all I'll be working and the TV's on. And I actually stopped doing what I'm doing and got up and looked at it. I forgot who it was. But I thought they said he had made $20 or $30 million. So I feel like he played football. I don't know. He's back living in the projects he grew up in. He's broke. If you sit down and you add it up on how long you have to live, they know that they're not paying you enough to ride out to 80 in good health. They know this. They know when they celebrate you signed a $50 million contract, it ain't guaranteed. Look at Kyler Murray. They want to get rid of him and every other quarterback that came in from 2019, hell, 2018 to right now, because they were mostly black in the first round. A lot of them were. Damn near a trend after Lamar. So luckily his contract was $159 million guaranteed, so they're going to have to pay him. But the biggest guarantee in football went out to Josh Allen. The 60% of his contract was guaranteed. So now you need to ask yourself, how the hell did Deshaun Watson get $230 million fully guaranteed? It wasn't because of football. But look at how they, like, we don't know. They don't want him to play and live in glory. They don't want their players to be celebrities. So who has the last say? The players. So Eric Dickerson said something that caught my attention. I'm going to play this again because this is important. And this is a basketball channel that he's on. Why hasn't he been invited on to any football channel? He could be on Speakeasy. He could be on Shannon Sharp and Uncle Ocho. He could be on that damn channel that Gilbert Arenas started that got hijacked. He could be on all of these football platforms. And that's a whole nother conversation. If I think you dumb, dumber than your white counterparts, and I don't want the Sanders football legacy, even though they elite and good and celebrities, to be popular than the Mannings. Is it because I just prefer the Mannings because they white? Or is it because I think y'all dumb and I don't want y'all out here? Listen to what Eric Dickerson says. So they don't respect them. That's basically what it is.
The NFL, the way they treat the players, especially black players.
In a January 2022 interview with the New York Times, you discussed possibly suffering from CTE.
What year was that? January 2022, the same year that Brian Flores filed his lawsuit. All this is going on at the same time.
Where are you at with that? Is that something that's...
Oh, yeah. And of course, I mean, I'm not the same guy I was. Even after I retired, you don't know. I mean, like right now, I got onsets of Parkinson's. I got to take a medication for Parkinson's. I'm gonna tell you this, the sad thing about this whole deal is that with the NFL, and look, I just love playing football. And the NFL makes you hate the NFL, the way they treat the players, especially black players. So you probably you ever heard of race norming? They race norm the black players, race norm us.
Break that down though, because I remember reading about that.
So what they'll say is, okay, you take the black player and the white player. The white player was already smart. The black player was not smart already. If he comes down, the white player should get paid, but the black player shouldn't get, because he was already dumb, basically. He was already kind of dumb. So,
and this wasn't even that long ago, though.
Oh, this was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And they said that, we won't do it again. I mean, it's like when we get hurt, like right now, it's in the case with them for the Parkinson's and CTE. We get so many that get denied. I'll give you a great example. My friend Christian Okoye.
All right. He already said it. He said they said we're not going to do it no more. That's the point I wanted to bring up. So after the NFL got accused of race norm and settled a $1 billion lawsuit, and it has been less than 5 years, by the way. Within that window, they settled the lawsuit for race norm in 2021. You heard him say people still have cases against the NFL for CTE that I told y'all, it's lawsuits that y'all don't even know about, right? And then we have people in 2022 filing a lawsuit against the NFL saying for racial discrimination. And then we get to the draft in 2025 with Shedeur, and they are actively discriminated against him, but they dressed it up as he's entitled or as Coach Prime's fault. But now that he's in Cleveland, we listen to Stefanski saying we're going to have to put him down, which is dehumanizing. We're listening to Andrew Berry and them talk about how important the quarterback position is. And we've listened to Stefanski talk about how we have standards for this position. All of that means race norming. We don't think you fit for the quarterback position, which is not new for the NFL. And Eric Dickerson said, the NFL said, we gonna stop it. We're going to stop race norming. They ain't stopped race norming. That's exactly what the hell it is going on in Cleveland. And that's why I say, you know what? If the Browns want to continue with this bullshit, then you go right ahead, because it's going to be expensive. And if you think the Washington Commanders had to be forced to sell Haslam next, I told y'all he might not get to 2029. People think the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. But who knew Eric Dickerson was going to say this today? Who knew Eric Dickerson was going to be on All the Smoke and talk about the race norming that they have been trying to cover up forever? Who knew that he was going to talk about the CTE? The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. So if you're just not joining us, we're talking about who has the last say. We know ticket prices are going down on the secondary market. That should impact ticket sales for season ticket holders and regular tickets. Next year, they make $110 million at the gate. That should be drastically reduced by next year, because season tickets for this year are already sold out. So now people that have tickets trying to offload them. Right? Yes, they should boycott the Browns. Black players should boycott the damn NFL itself. And the players that have decided to be quiet, whether it's Myles Garrett or Jerry Jeudy or anybody else, while Shedeur is being publicly lynched in their presence and they're being intimidated into silence, they have to ask themselves some hard questions here. See, sometimes people are silent because it ain't happening to me, and I better be quiet before it happened to me. This is the only kind of people they will attract going forward. It might take a moment, because I said 7 years. People going to look at Black players and ask, you still in the NFL? And did I know Eric Dickerson was going to go talk about race norming and CTE, two topics I have talked about, on a much larger platform, on a basketball platform? No, I didn't. But I'm glad he did. And he should not be the last one. And for these guys that have these platforms that are Black, y'all better understand something. If I think you dumb and you can't be the quarterback, and if I think you too dumb to pay you for CTE, it explains why it is that when y'all go out here and start your own platforms, they think you dumb, so they come flash money in your face to move off of it, so your voice won't be heard, which is why Eric Dickerson is on a basketball platform, which is why basketball platforms are more successful than football platforms. Look at Shannon Sharp, how he ended up in that situation. And he was made to pay every dime he made in the NFL. Now that you understand race norming and how they disrespect Black players, irrespective of race norming, but just in general, because I think you dumb. I don't value you. They don't value Shedeur. They think he dumb. And I have said this. It's all about optics for them. And the browner skin you are, the worse the treatment is. Tyrod Taylor, Shedeur Sanders, and Lamar Jackson are three people that you could see that that's the case. They think you're dumb. And they said, oh, we're going to stop it. They haven't stopped. They might have had to throw out any type of documentation because this was policy. So they had to erase the policy, but the practice is still there. And that is what Kevin Stefanski is doing. Race norming when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Now, who has the last say? Shedeur is not safe around Kevin Stefanski. And if he got to be on that damn team for whatever goddamn reason, then Stefanski got to go. And I have said it. If Stefanski going to be there, then Shedeur just need to be on the bench. There are a multitude of reasons that why Stefanski should be fired. And we're going to talk about it tonight. So I'm going to get myself out of here. We're going to get back tonight at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it should be fire Stefanski from here on out. And if they don't, the pressure will mount. And I ain't going to have nothing to do with it. All right. So I'm going to see y'all later. I appreciate y'all joining me on the Midday Huddle. We'll probably be back tomorrow. As we get closer and closer to some type of change, whether expected or unexpected. I'll be back tonight at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Miss Pamela, Political Lil, thank you for popping in. Mac, thank you. 420. Amber, thank you so much. Elaine, thank you. Pat Davis. Pat Davis, if y'all are suing, good luck to you. But your daughters are probably right. If you you have a spouse with CTE from football, I highly recommend I think you already know about the Gathers case, but read it again and listen to what Eric Dickerson is saying and hire a lawyer and fight for justice for your family. So, and I wish y'all well. Thank you, Exposing the Truth. I appreciate it. All right, so we'll be back, guys. See y'all at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on What She Said Sports. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the day ahead. Bye-bye.